Welcome to the Growth Guys Podcast, presented by KinderReeseCoaching.com. This is the #1 podcast for real estate agents who are serious about growing their business. Get the strategies and tactics to grow your business fast while building the lifestyle you dream of. Now, sit back, buckle up, and get ready, because we're about to get real. The Growth Guys Podcast starts right now.
Man, look at, speaking of that text message, so I got this, right, because I was on this, Facebook, man, somehow I'm in that Trump feed and they give me all these ads about buy the Trump stuff, all these companies. As we were driving back from out of town last weekend, we passed this little town, and in a strip mall, somebody had the bright idea to open up the Trump store, and they have a little store. All they do is sell. Now, you're in a friendly town when you got that banner out there and everything. But so this stuff comes through my feed, and
that's gold.
Her stepdad is, and all they do is they just buy the stuff from the websites and everything, and they're just marking it up, right? I mean, they're not doing nothing crazy. And so
that's
her
fantastic.
her stepdad likes, he's a Trump supporter, and so every time I see something, I thought of him, and so I'm on this site from a Facebook funnel with the product. The product that got me was a shirt. And I'm like, oh, that's a funny shirt. Let me click on it. And then I looked at all this other product. They got tons of it. And then they had this hat too. And so that's what I got the hat for myself, but I was originally buying this for him. So it's a t-shirt. You got the flag, and there's a little pocket on the front. You see?
Uh-huh.
Right? You see who's on the pocket there?
Yeah.
Now, watch this. When I don't want to screw it up, huh? Look, when you pull the pocket down, it's, wait, hold on. How can I do this so you can see it? Yeah, here. When you pull the pocket down.
What, does he got his thumbs up? No, what is that?
He's throwing up the middle finger.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. When you pull the pocket down, he's throwing up the middle finger, dude.
Oh, it's
so
great.
Funny. Look, I changed my camera and you can see
There you go. Oh, yeah.
When you pull it, you see what I mean?
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Isn't that great?
That's it.
So originally, you can't tell when it's like that. You're just wearing this T-shirt with Trump on it, but then you pull the pocket down. It's like,
He's
what?
doing the bird. Oh, I love it. That's so awesome. Oh, man.
Oh, man, so that's a good thing. Before we started talking about that, I hit record because I just thought that would be an easy way for us to transition into our episode today on the Growth Guys Podcast.
Yeah,
man,
buddy.
And today's episode, I'm excited. We're going to talk about productivity today. Somebody's being pretty productive out there on Facebook, taking advantage of the current trend and selling. Probably somebody who's not. If it's not a Trump supporter, that'd probably be the person who would make the most amount of money somehow doing it. So it's like somebody who's just taking advantage purely of the opportunity, being productive. What's up, Kitchens?
Man, just rock and rolling and trying to be as productive as possible. That's for sure.
Heck yeah, man. So today we're going to talk about productivity. This is episode, gosh, I don't know what on the Growth Guys Podcast. I think we're about 25 episodes. So if you haven't seen... Yeah, be sure and go to your internet, anywhere you listen to podcasts, and search for the Growth Guys Podcast and get all the episodes. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure and go to KinderReese.com and schedule a free coaching call. If you want to jump right to it, you can watch a free webinar that Jay's recorded for you at KinderReeseCoaching.com. So be sure and do that if you haven't done it yet. And today we're going to get into productivity, man. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, buddy.
Why don't you, kick things off and give me an idea of, what some of the biggest issues are that you run into working with agents that productivity is either the seed of or maybe, the cure.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is understanding what productivity is. And in the simplest of forms, it's getting the results that you're after. And we can even be doing our high leveraged activities. We could be doing the things that move the needle, things that drive profitability. But if we're not getting the results that we're after, we're not being productive. And so one of my favorite questions jumping on with our clients is, how was the week? Give me the victories. What was up? How'd it go? Oh man, I was productive. I was like, were we productive or were we busy? Because there's a big difference, right? And we want to make sure that we're crystal clear on what that is and get a real understanding. Are we getting the results that we're after? And it's either yes or no. And if we're not, then we're not being productive. And, then we can dive down those rabbit holes to kind of figure out where the constraint is and why we're not getting the output that we desire.
So, what do you think when you're talking to agents, Kitchens? What are some of the suggestions that you give them in an effort to just get more productive? Like, what are some real world exercises, or what are some real world things that you can go do like tomorrow?
Yeah, for sure. I think the thing is, knowing where they're at, right? What stage of the business are they in? What, amount, are they the solopreneur stage, right? Or is it just them and an assistant? Is it, are they kind of a little bit further along? They've got maybe an ISA, maybe they've got a showing agent or a buyer's agent. So their roles kind of change as the stage of their business starts to change. And so just knowing where they're at kind of will change what some of their targets, what some of the results they're after. So, talking to an agent that's, in production, pretty heavily in production, if we're not getting deals under contract, we're not getting clients, right? If we're not getting clients, then we're not getting face-to-face. If we're not getting face-to-face, then we're not having enough conversations. If we're not having enough conversations, we're not engaging enough, right? And if we're not engaging enough, then we don't have the data, we don't have the lead flow, whatever that is. So I think that's the key point there, right? Is kind of finding the constraint, the bottleneck. I like looking at it like a water hose, right? You turn the water hose on, and the result is the water coming out at the end of the hose. And if it's not coming out, then there's a kink somewhere in the hose somewhere, and we got to go find it. And so that's understanding kind of theory of constraints and being able to look at it that way. And then that's why we track everything, right? You and I talk about this. I mean, you've got to track it so you can see where that bottleneck or that kink in the water hose is, so you can go untangle it. And and it's a never-ending process, right? I mean, there's always a damn kink in the water hose. So it's once we find it, we know that it's going to be somewhere else. It's just going to keep moving, and we just want to find it. And we want to keep removing that, and that allows things to flow, and drive profitability, but allow us more importantly than anything to be productive.
Man, so I was listening to something the other day, and let me just kind of paraphrase and share with everybody what it was saying and what the thoughts are that went along with it. So if I was to say, stop managing your time, all right, stop managing your time. Kitchens, you're a calendar your day out guy. It's part of your Sunday ritual, right? Yep. I mean, you set up your whole entire calendar. And here I am saying, stop managing your time. Everybody out there has a book that's about time management. We probably made a course called time management, right? And so I'm just going to take the contrarian argument to that. And what the hell is managing time? Everybody there, you can't manage time. No. You can't, right? Because you can't like it's going to happen no matter what. There's a limited finite amount. Everybody has the same when it comes at least to the hours in a day, which is the minutes in a day, seconds in a day, let alone can you manage an hour, can a second, et cetera, et cetera. So, but we all do. You look at your calendar, manage time, right? I'm managing time. I'm trying to manage time, knowing damn well that what will happen is I'm sitting down trying to do maybe something that's on my calendar, and then a buyer calls or a seller calls or whatever, right? And you end up having to go rush out, and you should in a lot of cases. And so, but you're not going to say that, no, I'm not going to, right? Because I'm supposed to be doing this according to my calendar, right? You're going to go meet the seller, of course, and get the listing agreement signed, or you're going to meet with the buyer and show them a property if they're qualified. You know what I mean? You're not going to say, nope, I got 4:00 open for that. Probably not, right? Now,
Right.
if you're at the stage in business where you can say that, I mean, I could argue that there's a lot of strength in doing that too, the scarcity
Yeah,
concept.
buddy.
But instead, think about managing your activities. All right. So instead of managing time, I use the calendar so that I can break down the time in the day that I'm going to try to do the number one activities, the high leverage activities. And so if you thought about it as more of managing your activities, because shit's going to happen, stuff is going to happen. You're going to be doing it. But if it's all built around the activities that are high leverage and highest producing, then even when you get drug away from task A, task B is going to be a high leverage activity anyhow, right? And I believe then you don't get frustrated as much, right? With man, I got to stick to this, or I'm failing to live by my calendar. If you can focus on the right activities, I think that's at a deeper level, really a secret to it, and as well as making lists. You know, we've all know this power of making lists, or you should, right? There's literally been studies on it that prove the effects and impact of those people that make a list, what happens when you check stuff off and so on. And so when you have activities, you can also start to make lists. I know you're a list guy, Kitchens. You know, I'm a list guy for sure. I mean, it's so simple, but magical stuff happens when you get a list in front of you.
It's amazing.
And you get to check stuff off, you know? And I mean, I used to use these things. If you don't use it, go to Google Keep, one of my favorite tools. I create lists every day. I mean, this is something old, but I mean, I create lists every day just out of the random, do it on my phone or whatever, and create these lists. And so usually I can tie back my most productive days are really when maybe I had the calendar, so I had all the listed items broken out on the calendar and when maybe I could fit them in. But the fact is that stuff happens and you get pulled away. But I could always just go back to the list when I had a free time and start to focus on crushing those things, just like I believe you call it your MVPs.
Yeah, you got your MVPs, but I think more importantly, kind of what's in your list there is your gotta minutes, right? Where things that don't necessarily make the calendar, but every time that you know an appointment ends early or a client no shows on you or they need to cancel and reschedule, you've got some open time to where you can dive into those gotta minutes to be, you know, to get more shit done. And I think the biggest thing to fight here, Jeff, you know, to kind of borrow from our buddy Ryan Stewman, you know, the force of average, but I think really, you know, to maximize productivity, we got to fight the force of distraction. And, you know, we are in such a distracted world with technology that we've got to create these filters, these roadblocks, these you know, whatever it is that allows us to stay on track and keep moving towards our desired outcome, which is a whole nother story, right? Before we can be productive, we got to know what it is that we're trying to accomplish. And so, you know, there's got to be those things. So like your list, if you get that extra second, that got a minute time, then you can go right to it. If not, you're going to end up into the distraction, you know, abyss known as social media. And, you know, you're going to come out of it either when you've got your next appointment or an hour later, like wondering what the heck just happened. So we you know, we really got to create these things, the structure. And I mean, the number one productivity tool that we have is the calendar. So, you know, really leveraging that to the fullest and utilizing it because it allows us to stay focused. So it's like you had mentioned, Sunday planning, getting crystal clear, putting time in when you're going to check emails, putting time in when you are going to get on social media, like all of those things free you up, because if you know you're going to get on social media in a couple hours just to spin out of control and let your brain, you know, shut off to the you know, the black hole of whatever's out there, that you know, you can tell yourself, hey, don't go there now, you're going to go there in a couple hours, so why worry about it?
Yeah. The black hole, man, the black hole.
It is. You know, I think too, a couple things, you know, a couple little tips, I think that kind of help us stay more productive. And let's be honest. I mean, you said no time management. I agree 100%. It's more energy management, and really being able to manage our really be able to manage our energy level and when we are the most productive. So like for you, you talk about, I mean, it's Brian Tracy, right? Eat that frog. And so why do we always want to like do the things that we don't want to do? Like, we don't want to prospect. I mean, just by definition of the word, right? Just leaves a just a negative connotation in our mind. So that's why you want to prospect first thing in the morning.
I mean, for me, but it is all, yes, you're right. I get it. Most people do have a negative connotation. I think of gold miners personally. I mean, I think of people digging gold. That's literally what I think of. And then I think of, it might suck some, like, oh, that's but I don't, like, my first thing is not, oh shit, it's so bad. Like, it's, if that's your reaction when you hear the word prospect, and guess what? It's so great that you're listening right now, because we just gave you the pill of humility to be like, damn, that is my issue. And once you know it, right, you can solve it. Yeah. You know what I mean, man? Just go make some calls. Amazing stuff. But yeah.
You nailed it right there though, man. It's the calendar and, these apps, these things you can put on your computer to shut social media off. All of those tips and tools are great.
We use Trello, right? We use Trello a lot and manage products and stuff. Manage projects and be super productive at knocking out tasks. So internally, you know what I mean? Like internally for the company or the business, when we're trying to hit certain benchmarks, finish projects, we use Trello to help.
Yeah. And you're spot on. And those are all great, right? But they're a great second step. And the first step is everything that you just said. It's the mental posture, it's the mental framework that you operate from, right? It's like most people, when they think of prospecting, they think of the negative connotation. For you, you're like, man, I'm just mining for gold, and I'm going to find it, right? So it's either we can choose to have an empowering or a disempowering look on those things. And it really is up to us to how we're living, right? Are we living in that empowering mental state? Or are we living in that disempowering state? And it's all our choice, right? But as leaders, we function with something called wisdom and power, right? And wisdom is really just the awareness, and power is the choice. So we can have this choice of either choosing to be overwhelmed, or we can choose to be focused. It's our choice, right? And so the magic comes when we can connect what's going on internally with what's going on, all the tools and tips and things that we have at our fingertips to allow us to really be the most productive. Anything else that you want to kind of add there? I got a couple really good inner working exercises that we can share with everybody on today's episode.
Heck yeah. Shout out to everybody on Facebook. So I went streaming live on Facebook a minute ago. Okay. So we're just laying down the next episode of the Growth Guys podcast. Be sure you check it out anywhere you listen to your podcast, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever it's on there, the Growth Guys. And be sure and watch all the previous episodes. But today was about productivity. So that's what we're getting into, guys. If you've got questions, love to hear how you guys manage your day and get a lot of shit done. Whatever tools you use. We mentioned Google Keep, Trello. What else do you use? Your calendar. I mean, Gmail calendar is amazing, right? What was that? We used Slack. We use Slack a lot.
Internal communication.
Google me personally. Hangouts.
Yep. Me personally, I like to use Wunderlist. I use Evernote, just things there to create those tasks, create those, like you said, you have your list. I like what Jesse Itzler calls it. He calls it your do list. It ain't a to-do list. It's your do list, right? You're going to get that. You're going to get it done. And so I've definitely used that framework. I'm doing it.
This is the do list. Hey, mine's called the kill list. I mean, literally today's kill list. I literally, and I'm not even lying. I mean, if I could go back, I'm not kidding. You guys, you're seeing my screen, but look, Look at, I think it probably is. I'm not kidding. What is this called? This is called Today's Kill List.
I love
and
it.
this is old. I mean, that's from way back. There's a lot of stuff on there. 362 completed items. How about that? Boom.
There you go.
That's one that completed one thing a day. One thing a day last year. But man, just to wrap that up and put a bow on it, you were mentioning the gold mine and the product, prospecting, and man, that's a productive activity. That should be on your list. We're looking up. We were talking the other day about the biggest issues facing real estate agents in 2020. If I was to name the top 5, time management, getting more done in less time is one of those issues because you're being pulled in so many different directions with all those distractions like Stewman talks about. The other one is, following up and nurturing your database and staying in contact with your sphere, so on and so forth. So that's a high leverage activity. Building a database of new leads, high leverage. These are all issues. You turn the question around. An issue in 2020 is how to get more qualified leads ready to meet with you. Well, prospecting is going to be able to do that. How do I get more done in the same amount of time? Well, managing your calendar, focusing on ways to be more productive using tools is going to be a way to do that. So this is a super important topic today, but we mentioned prospecting. We talked about the gold miner. And what I wrote down that struck me is, the thing is about the gold miner, and I'm picturing that movie, man, with, what's his name? It was so good. The Jungle or something with Matthew McConaughey, I think. Maybe it wasn't Matthew McConaughey. It just won like an Oscar or something recently about the guy who goes down to South America looking for gold. It's so good. It's got a really, really good actor in it. I swear I thought it was Matthew McConaughey. Somebody on Facebook will know what I'm talking about. But
it shows you how much if it's not a kid movie or animated or a superhero, I probably it flew over my radar.
Yeah, it's not that. But what the thing about the gold miner is, man, they don't care that it's hot. They don't care that they're going to get sweaty. They don't care that it's going to be dirty as hell. You never seen a clean gold miner, right? Just, come on, let me see that guy. Oh, I'm digging gold, but he's got a brand new white shirt on. They just don't care. You know what I mean? They don't care. And same as those that are really successful at closing face-to-face, that person who crushes it every appointment, man, somehow they influence people. It's like magic. They have some added advantage. They were born to sell. No, they weren't. You know what I mean? No, they weren't. They're just focusing on being more productive, and they don't care. They don't care that, hey, man, someone's going to say no, some's not. I'm going to go out there and kill it. I don't care. I'm going to go get gold today, but you're going to get dirty. It's going to be hot. Isn't it going to be hot out there? Yeah. Aren't you going to be sore? Yeah. Yep. How far did you run? God. How far did you swim? Damn. You did what? I mean, I'm not Superman. Are you Superman? I think I had the same ability as everybody else, though.
Same time.
Everybody else. I get the same time, too.
Same time.
We all have a watch too, man. You do all have a watch. We carry a watch around to literally count time, and we don't do a damn thing with most of those.
Not at all. Not at all. But I guess kind of segueing back over to, really the mental side of things. It really is absolutely critical. You've got to be able to clear that junk out so you can get focused and you can get productive. And one of, a couple really good exercises. One is, it's the same thing as if walking into your office and your desk is a disaster, right? And you don't know where to start. You got stuff everywhere. Well, our mind is kind of the same way, right? So we carry a bunch of this junk around with us. And, like you were sharing, the kill list, the do list, getting it into Trello, getting it somewhere to where you can just write everything down and just do a brain dump. This is just a great exercise to do. This is part of the Sunday planning process that I go through, is just a brain dump, get everything out of my head, write it down, and then start to prioritize what's important. Right, where we need to go. Also, while you're kind of doing that brain dump, you start to look at, what areas in our lives do we not have closure? So things that we have loose ends It's like having an app running on your device, right? That's running in the background. It's just slowly draining your battery and you just don't really notice it. But that's like a lot of the life shit that we have going on, right? That we don't have closure on. So as you're kind of doing that brain dump and you're thinking about those things, you know, you want to prioritize and then get them complete. Man, there's some stuff you just need to hire an attorney for. There's some stuff that you just need to pick up the phone and make a phone call. And more importantly, there's just some stuff that we tend to carry around that doesn't even matter. We just need to let it go. So really closing the loop on that. The other, you know, when we're kind of looking at that is starting to realize where are we working at in the gray zone. So the gray zone is where we're not fully present wherever we're at. So so think about this, you know, if you guys are listening in with us live, or if you're listening to the podcast episode on wherever you're listening to it, are you working? Right? You're not working, you're listening to this, right? So you're not fully present at what you're doing. And, you know, one of the things is that we all experience is being at home with our family, but we're thinking about work. And, you know, if we can share anything that you guys take away, there is no such thing as life balance. The only thing that balance is just being present wherever you're at. If you're at work, be at work. If you're at home, be at home, right? And, you know, if you're on vacation, be on vacation, right? If you're in the gym, be in the gym. Like, just be present wherever you're at. It can become a superpower for you if you can really condition yourself and condition your mind in your energy to be focused wherever you're at. So create, you know, look at that and have that awareness, and then accept it. Once we understand it, accept it, then we can move forward from it. And it's just really, really powerful as you go through all of the equities of our lives. And then, you know, the last little part of the exercise is when you're looking at, you know, the things that are robbing you of energy, eliminate them. We've got to eliminate them. So make a list of the equities, right? Health, wealth, relationships, you know, the physical, the mental, the emotional, spiritual, all the equity buckets, however you look at it. Make a list of those. Worry about things outside of your control is like one of the worst things that we can possibly do, right? It'll paralyze us. You know, one of the other things, you know, sometimes dealing with people from our past that are below our new level of standards, right? Don't mean that in a negative way, but if you're a growth human being and you continue to grow and get better, it's the crab in the bucket story, right? As you're continuing to come out of there, there's people that are trying to pull you back down into the bucket. So we have to be aware of those type of people. Poor eating habits. You know, I always used to joke with Alex, right? Too much Crown Apple, you know, could be an energy robber. But, you know, it's just, it's being aware of those things and eliminating them fast. But those are 4 really, really good exercises that if you can get into your rhythm, will help you guys be more productive, right? Remember, it's the mental side is the first step. The second side is the calendar, the tools, the things that Jeff and I have been sharing with you on this episode.
Yeah, those are good takeaways, man. I'm going to sign off with our folks on Facebook and just remind them to be sure and go to kinderreese.com, schedule a free coaching call.
Yeah,
maybe
buddy.
it'll work for you, maybe it won't, but we can definitely promise that you'll discover something about your business that you probably didn't know and be headed in the right direction.
100%.
So go to kinderreese.com, schedule a call. If you want some more information and you got time to watch a short video, go to kinderreesecoaching.com and you can jump right into a video that Jay's recorded for you. And be sure and look for the Growth Guys podcast anywhere that you listen to podcasts, guys. So, you know, you were saying I had a story there, man. So you're talking about eliminating the people. You know, a long time ago in 2000 or so, you know, I left California. I was born and raised originally in Salinas, California. You know that. I know you're from Hollister up there. And I remember, you know, like first time I kind of got a job where I was wearing a suit and tie to work all the time, maybe like 17, something like that, 18. and you still have these other people who haven't matured maybe to that point. They're still hanging around doing who knows what. And sometimes maybe those people live with you. Sometimes whatever. And and
buddy,
I remember
exactly talking about.
you can see a line, man. I used to come home, and if a friend of mine used to come home and be like, come home and get lunch, right? And you got people around and making fun of your suit, making fun of what you wear. It's like nowadays you look at who the fuck make fun of a suit, dude? You should have been like asking me, how do you tie a tie? That's what you should have been asking me instead. But and you start to see that, man, some people, you either have some ambition and are kind of like seeing you as a plane that's taking off the runway, and they haven't even gotten on a plane yet. They're like trying to find their way through security in life's airport. They're stuck up at life's TCA or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? And you do have to move. And so I packed up everything I owned, consolidated down to 3 boxes and got on an Amtrak train and left everybody and started brand new 1,500 miles away in Dallas, Texas. And whether some of those people that were great and could contribute a lot to my life, sure. Some of them, majority, no. And the fact is, if you go back and look right now, I wouldn't change it one bit, right? Wouldn't do it. And I've seen that in working with salespeople, especially those, it tends to be that the people that are most successful are maybe a little unorthodox, maybe they work a little outside of the box, maybe, they haven't had the traditional path. And with that being the case, a lot of times they have some of this external baggage, for lack of a better word. And it's hard to tell somebody, you almost feel inappropriate telling somebody that, hey, you should stop hanging around with that person. But I've known him forever. He's like one of my best friends. Well, sorry, but the fact is that you need to stop hanging around with him. And it sounds like, from outside, it's easy for us to say that in black and white. And I can see all the way through to the end where you're like, yeah, that was a good decision. But you can't see it in the moment. Sometimes it's unfair, but it is like one of the biggest. It's the biggest thing it's the biggest thing. You'd be better off being by yourself than you would in a room of 5 that ain't on the same path.
Yeah, man. It's so powerful. Environment is stronger than willpower. And
productivity, we're talking about productivity. Those people drag you away when you're like, I'm going to stay home and listen to some podcasts so I can get skilled up. Hey, man, you want to go hang out? All right. What happened to the podcast you're going to listen to? I thought you were going to get all skilled up.
Man, yeah. It's funny. Those guys should have been asking you, man, how do I get a job to wear a suit?
Right.
So yeah,
anyhow.
it is, man. It's understanding those things that we're talking about, right? And you're sitting back and like, well, how in the hell does that relate to productivity? It's everything to productivity. And, I'll say it again, environment is stronger than willpower. And, I mentioned earlier, we have that, operating as leaders with wisdom and power, and all the wisdom is awareness. And, and then, the choice is the willpower, right? And so willpower is the most valuable form of energy we have. That's why it's energy management. It's not time management. And so when your energy level is the highest, you do the things you don't want to do. And if your energy level's lower in the afternoons or in the early evenings or at night, right? Then you do activities that kind of work with that energy level. Like I know people that they have an energy spike of creativeness in the evening, and and it could be a little induced, right? Could be the help of a glass of wine or two, and it sparks creativity. And you take advantage of it. I know I heard Tim Ferriss, kind of a little hack that he's focused on moving into 2020, and it's the Hemingway hack, to where drink and write, because that unlocks the creativeness. Now they edit sober, but they're drinking and creativeness, and that's what Hemingway did. And Tim Ferriss is doing the same thing right now. So I just thought that was like, because that ties right into the energy flow, right? There's certain things when you get into a certain flow and you tie that productive activity, that what you're trying to accomplish based upon where that energy flows at, you're going to get better results. And that's what we're talking about, right? Are we getting the results to the outcomes that we're after, or we're not? And that's about being productive. But there's so much more to it, internally, mentally, things that we can do to maximize our productivity.
Man, I'm glad you said that. I love the Hemingway hack. You know, man, I just want to Hemingway hack everything.
Me too, man. But you got to be careful, right? You can't be posting shit on social media while you're in the middle of the Hemingway hack.
Right. But
edit sober. Edit sober. Post sober. Post sober.
Yeah, friends don't let friends post while Hemingwaying.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That's so awesome.
No, but, you know, I'm glad you mentioned when you're getting stuff, the right things done. So, you know, let's say that I said, man, I got to make business, and I'm going to give a shout out to somebody we know who's doing good. So, Parker Inspections.
Man, Alex, right? and Lacey.
Yeah, Alex.
Holy moly. I'm
so
so,
you know,
I'm so, if man, they've got they execute. They execute.
Yeah. And so they've been crushing it on social media and everything with a strategy, right? I mean, I know that they've put a lot of time and effort into it because I've been on some calls with them as we help flush it out. And so they're doing it with a strategy. They're consistently doing the right activity. And so they're productive. But let's say that it's somebody else who's just posting, no thought to who my customer is, what kind of content they want, what problems are they trying to solve, what keeps them up at night, what would they say yes to, what's the competition saying that they actually do say yes to, what are they already consuming, I wonder where they go to get information. Like, if you've got none of that and you're just posting every day, it's easy to think that I'm being productive. Man, I did it 60 days in a row. I've made a post. Okay, but how relevant was it to your target audience? I mean, is it all friends and family that are liking your posts? You know, and so it is important to get clear on what is productivity. Like, what is productivity? What does that mean for you and your business based on where you're at? If you're the leader of a team, then productivity for you is different than you're a solo agent. So it's all different. There's not like John's productivity is the same as my productivity and your productivity is the same as Sarah's productivity. It's not. And unfortunately, you will try to measure yourself up against everybody else's productivity.
I'm glad you said that.
That is fucked up, right? It's not fair to yourself.
No.
So
we cannot compare ourselves to others. We have to one, look at how good we really have it, but we also have to know what is our, based upon the season of our business, the season of our life, like the role, the function that we're within, what is success for that function, right? You know, I spend 90% of my working time working one-on-one with coaching clients. Jeff is driving marketing and sales for the organization. His definition of success in output and productivity is different than mine because I have a different function right now than Jeff, and vice versa. So you have to understand that, right? What is it? What is your role? What's your function? What is that measurement of success? What are you trying to accomplish? What is the desired outcome? And then what are the activities to get that?
And I want to wrap today's episode up with circling back to something that you said earlier about being, present, right? There is no balance. Really, like, out of balance is when I'm trying to be in the past and the present at the same time. Out of balance is when I'm trying to be in the future and the present at the same time. So be in the present. And here's how you get super productive. That's one part of the equation. And this is what I wrote down. Maybe we ought to talk about this or something, but be present with purpose, man. That's the secret. Be present and be present with purpose. That purpose is dictated by what you've put some thought into and what are the highest leverage activities for you based on where you're at, just like Kitchen said. But once you've got clear on what those things are, then be present with the purpose to accomplish one of those things. And that's it. Like, don't get caught up in everything else. Don't overcomplicate it. Just be present, be focused on those things that are super, high activity, high leverage activity.
Yeah, no, I love that. And just to add one little last little tidbit of context to what you just shared right there, which is absolutely. And, you know, that purpose for you is dependent upon what you're trying to accomplish right now in your life. Right. So like, you know, I'm on this ultra kick, and even for you, you know, on this running, you got a really big, hairy running target for you this year. And so you have to design your life around to help support that, right? Things that you're trying to accomplish in your business. You got to get your life team on board and support, and based upon what you're trying to accomplish is kind of the design of being purposeful, like you were saying, of what your life has to look like if you really want to accomplish the things that you're wanting to accomplish.
That's it. And part of that process can be going to kinderreese.com and scheduling a free coaching call. Somebody from our team will reach out to you and try to ask some questions, probably to see how we can best help. And if it makes sense for you to get on a call, we
best thing to do.
Some time. Best thing to do.
kinderreese.com, schedule a call. If you want to check out kind of our methodology, if you will, just kind of Jay breaking down the process, you can go to kinderreesecoaching.com and get a little more understanding of the framework there.
That's it, man. We'll wrap up another episode of the Growth Guys podcast. Be on the lookout for the next one. Appreciate you guys, and appreciate you, Kitchens.
You too, brother. See ya.
To find out how to build a 7-figure real estate business in 3 years or less, go to kinderreesecoaching.com. You've been listening to the Growth Guys podcast. If you want us to help you grow your real estate business, go to kinderreesecoaching.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the Growth Guys podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast fix to get new, fresh weekly episodes. Catch you next time on the Growth Guys podcast.